This is session 1728, the 34th session with MDG, May the 31st, 1986.
Okay, I have made contact, and they said something like, when you enter the booth, that it should be like your first session, not knowing what to expect. The same old thing with not projecting or having anticipations and such. And we started getting into the thing about what you had asked me about whether I just wanted to do a free flow or proceed as normal. And I was getting the impression of to experiment a little bit with a free flow.
Okay? Good. Go with it.
Well, I'm having a pretty good time, actually.
Oh, good.
Thought I'd report, though. First thing I noticed was I started feeling this pressure on my head. And it's just kind of like became aware of it type of thing. I started having these feelings in my legs that my legs were moving apart and then back together and apart and back together, just kind of this slow movement type thing. Several things drifted into my awareness of things still unresolved with me. And it's kind of funny. It's like I perceive them as kind of a bright light, but not so bright that it hurts my eyes or anything or like that. But it's like they're always here, right in front of me. So it's not like I'm really in darkness. In one sense I am, but this brightness is always in front of me.
Did they give any indication after this experience in which direction that they would like for you to go, whether to bring to your attention the unresolved things or to work with the body energies?
I am getting this thing that this should continue for a little while longer.
Okay, very good. We'll wait to hear from you then. Real time, 26 minutes.
They would like to know if you have any questions.
Yes, we would like to know if they would be interested in giving us and yourself some information on the experience that you just had in explaining the various events that were occurring that you were aware of physically.
The body's perception, the body, all these cells of the body, the perception of these energies, the perception of the energies that the cells receive are interpreted different than, or interpreted in other ways than the actual so-called contact with the energies.
Is the free flow process that you just experienced, would that be a good exercise for other explorers to follow?
Processes with explorers as you're aware of, are always individuals and spontaneous and will always be different, and they should be, from your perspective, looked upon as always being different, and not to expect a certain pattern, a certain predictability, a certain emphasis on any of the explorers, on any of the laboratory sessions. The sessions should not try to be oriented into a set procedure of desired results. They should be allowed to go and develop along whichever lines that they proceed upon. And this is not to say that a session may not be, an explorer may not be indulging or may at times need help in getting through various limitations and blocks of which they've placed upon themselves, in which they are interpreting their experience through. When these come up, it is as though they are placed in a certain point and they flow to their limitations, and that they need not remove a blockage or need not remove the limitation within the session. Just by encountering the blockage, by bringing it to their attention, they may at this point go around the blockage into others, but it has become part of their awareness of what they have placed before themselves, and that it will then be worked upon at other times. It will not be so easily left to be as it was before. Once a block has been acknowledged or has been discovered, it will no longer keep its anonymity, and the focus of attention upon it usually will cause its removal.
Thank you.
This is not always the case, in that there are some who will take the blockage as being a true limitation of themselves, and will therefore desire to keep this blockage for various reasons, which may be security, fear of what is beyond the blockage. Built-in limitations can make individuals feel safe when they know what their so-called limitations are. To go beyond these can destroy what they have spent much energy in building. Blockages can be very comfortable to some. These people who accept these blockages may not seem to differ much in the types of experiences they may not seem to expand. This is not a area of an area for interpretation of another's experience. For many things happen to explorers. The desires, the intent of going into the booth is enough for most to add momentum to go through these blockages. The ones who do not wish to do this will probably not wish to return to the booth to face what would be uncomfortable, that which would be outside of their blockages.
Thank you. A question on the free flow was to say, as you're well aware, we working with the explorers encounter free flows where there's no verbalization taking place, and the explorer then feels like nothing is going on. So what we were wondering was whether you could explain, that what is going on, and that there is work going on, whether there's verbalization or not. This was what we were asking, so that we would be able to work with the explorers in conjunction with yourself working with them.
Yes, there is within individuals in the free flow state energies working to bring about changes. the states the individuals of which coming into your booth at various times, the individuals who seem to report nothing, who are seemingly discouraged, and the individuals who report much goings on within a free flow state. These experiences can be very similar. The individuals who report nothing have not developed their awareness for receiving what is transpiring within the various energies of the individual. This may be expectations of what it should feel like, what types of stimuli they should be responding to, versus the other individual who has tuned into these. The individual who is not tuned in may then work in a so-called counterproductive way. Not to say that the energies working with this individual are counterproductive, saying that the individual themselves will then grade themselves on their experience rather harshly, will be disappointed, will be not so willing to return to allow this opening up process for when they will be aware of the energies involved with themselves. The free flows are good in many circumstances when an explorer is capable of acknowledging the differences within the various systems. A free flow state for an unsure explorer may not be what the explorer desires, and then may be a disappointment. Although the experience may be with the energies working with the individual, just what the individual needs at that particular time. The individual who has experienced so-called nothing to report is usually within the limitations of which the explorer has placed around himself. These limitations may be very simply just that any perceptions that certain cells feel or respond to are just a matter of body temperature. It may be that certain messages, certain input may be passed off as being related to various other bodily sensations or mental chatter. Not that there is not mental chatter. An individual may have determined exactly what their entire sensory input guidelines are, in that anything that an energy does to stimulate, to try to respond to an individual, may then be channeled into a totally different area of which the response is of no consequence. The stimula is related as nothing. The individual, may build these limitations for various reasons. The desire and working to release these is what will make this come about. The individual who has the individual's limitations, of which have been constructed, are not necessarily what would be considered limitations of these sort of, as we stated earlier, of fears, although they may also be present. There are many various ways to place these limitations on yourselves to limit experiences, to rechannel the energies into something of which may be passed on as being nothing. The individual who lays in the booth and reports that nothing is happening is definitely not reporting what is happening. They, as we said, may be believing that it is nothing. They may be unaware to the extent of what the stimuli means.
Thank you. Then would it be safe to assume that in the beginning processes of an explorer discovering these energies, that the monitor would play a more active role as opposed to we now are in speaking to you, and so thereby you're working with the channel, so we would be in a less active mode. Could you speak to us about this?
Each explorer is different, each session is different. An explorer who reports nothing, it would be helpful for a monitor to in various ways to try to make the explorer aware of the energies present. The explorer, with their limitations of which they have set, may at the various points may block, may we do not mean this in this way, but may fight the monitor for their limitations. Their limitations are, to them, very valid, and the monitors may try various things to help an explorer realize the energies working. The explorer may, in turn, resist all input from a monitor, may at various points in various sessions may not even consider what a monitor says. A monitor may try many different avenues of approach to help the explorer become aware. If the explorer has much energy in their limitations, the results may not be of what the monitor appears to be of any consequence, but the explorer has indeed benefited from the attempt, the so-called moving against the limitations. The session may not take the desired course, but it will be as it should. The monitor should understand that the explorer who may need the assistance may also reject, just as they reject the stimuli from the energies. If the desire is there, they may begin to go past this. This may not happen immediately. If an individual may decide in a session that the limitations are valid and nothing is going to happen. If this individual accepts this, then it will be. This individual, having accepted this, may never return to the booth again.
Thank you. This is very helpful in the case of working with what we call new explorers. And this resistance occurs as you've described, and it is projected onto the monitor. From your perspective, would it be beneficial then for an explorer to go to another monitor? In other words, to try the processes of monitors in getting to that contact that they're seeking.
An individual who projects this onto a monitor and again, this may be a thing of deciding not to face this limitation, this blockage, to turn to another monitor, and it may again place another blockage on the new monitor. instances where it may be beneficial to change monitors if the projections are of such that the individual is so limited that they may not be able to overcome these limitations. A different monitor without these projections may allow the individual to gain enough awareness of the self-imposed limitations that they then would be bypassed, in that the individual could then go back to the original monitor, and there should be no problem as far as the projected blockages that were placed there previously.
Thank you. That's very clear and very helpful. If we may ask now, when an explorer has reached a state such as this explorer that you are now working through, what should the monitor then focus the attention on so far as questions, and in what area to work with the explorer? In other words, you're quite willing to answer questions, but now the monitor takes more of a passive role, and so when an entity such as yourself says, "Would you ask questions?" then we become active in selecting questions. What areas should we work in for the development of the explorer?
The sessions in any such individual the questions they should be in, again, a spontaneous method. The information